Right now, somewhere on this planet, a Caterpillar dozer built before your grandfather was born is still pushing dirt. We are not talking about museum pieces sitting behind velvet ropes. We are talking about machines with over 100,000 hours on the clock, frames that have been rebuilt 5, 6, 7 times, and engines so tough that mechanics call them immortal. These are 10 old cat dozers that looked death in the eye, laughed, and went right back to work. Number 10. The Caterpillar D2. Let us start with the smallest legend on this list, and honestly one of the most surprising survivors in all of heavy equipment history. The Caterpillar D2 first rolled off the assembly line in 19... It was a compact little machine weighing in at just around 4 tons, and it was originally designed for agricultural work. Farmers used it to clear fields, pull plows, and do light land grading. It produced somewhere between 30 and 40 horsepower depending on the configuration, which sounds laughable by today's standards, but back then, that was serious pulling power for a machine of its size. What made the D2 special was its simplicity. There were no computers, no electronic control modules, no emission systems. It ran on a 4-cylinder diesel engine that Caterpillar had designed to be almost impossible to kill. The fuel system was mechanical, the steering was clutch and brake, and every single component on the machine could be serviced by a farmer with a basic set of wrenches. Caterpillar produced the D2 all the way from 1938 to 1957, and during that nearly 2-decade production run, thousands upon thousands of these little tractors were built. During World War II, the D2 served alongside its bigger brothers in the U.S. Army engineering battalions and with the Navy Seabees. It handled lighter duties like grading around camp facilities and maintaining drainage ditches. Here is the remarkable part. You can still find D2 tractors running today. Collectors and small farm operators in the United States, Australia, and parts of South America continue to use original D2 machines for light clearing and grading work. Some of these units have been in continuous family operation for over 70 years, passed down from grandfather to father to son. The fact that a machine from the late 1930s can still start up and push dirt in the 2020s tells you everything about how Caterpillar built things back then. Number 9. The Caterpillar D4. Moving up in size, we come to the Caterpillar D4, another pre-war machine that simply refused to go away. The D4 was first introduced in 1936 and served as a versatile mid-size tractor for construction, agriculture, and logging operations. During World War II, the D4 was one of several Caterpillar crawler tractors used extensively by the U.S. military. The Australia Warbird Museum notes that Caterpillar produced the D2, D4, D6, D7, and D8 for the war effort, and these machines were instrumental to both the Army engineering battalions and the Navy Seabees. What gave the early D4 its legendary durability was the same philosophy that guided all of Caterpillar's pre-war and wartime designs: overbuilt everything. The frame was heavy-gauge steel, the tracks were designed for abuse. The engine was understressed, meaning it rarely operated anywhere near its maximum capacity during normal work, which dramatically extended its lifespan. The D4 went through numerous model updates over the decades, evolving through the D4D, D4E, D4H, and eventually being reorganized under Caterpillar's modern naming system. But it is those original wartime and immediate post-war D4 machines that earn their place on this list. Many of them served in military operations, were surplused after the war, bought by civilian contractors, and then worked for another 30 or 40 years in private hands. Some were rebuilt multiple times using the same original frame, a testament to the quality of Caterpillar's steel and engineering. Number 8. The Caterpillar D6. Now we are getting into serious iron. The Caterpillar D6 has one of the longest production histories of any dozer model in the world, stretching all the way back to 1935 when it debuted as the RD6, powered by a 3-cylinder 45-horsepower engine. Over the following decades, the D6 went through an astonishing number of iterations. The 4R and 5R series arrived in 19... The 8U and 9U series came in 1947 with a new 6-cylinder D3 engine producing 66 horsepower. By the time Caterpillar stopped counting, over 60,000 D6 tractors had been built in just the 4R, 5R, 8U, and 9U series alone. One of the most unusual D6 variants was the wheeled version nicknamed the Sugar Baby. In the mid-1950s, a Caterpillar dealer in Florida called Clewiston Motor Company replaced the tracks on D6 dozers with rubber tires for U.S. Sugar Corporation. These modified D6 machines hauled wagons carrying sugarcane from the fields to processing mills. Around 150 of these special-wheeled D6 units were made and operated until the mid-1960s. But the real story of the D6 is its sheer refusal to stop working. The D6 evolved through the D6B in 1959, the D6C in 1963, the D6D in 1977, and on through the D6H, D6R, D6T, and the current next-generation D6 model. Each generation built on the strengths of the one before. In many parts of the developing world, D6C and D6D models from the 1960s and 1970s are still actively working on construction sites and logging operations. Their mechanical simplicity and rebuildable designs mean that local mechanics can keep them running almost indefinitely. Number 7. The Caterpillar D7. If one dozer won World War II, a lot of historians and military engineers would argue it was the Caterpillar D7. The D7 first appeared in 1938 and quickly became the primary heavy earth mover for the Allied military. During the war, it was officially designated as the Tractor Heavy M1. The D7-7M series alone saw approximately 10,000 units produced between when wartime demand exceeded Caterpillar's production capacity. About 1,000 additional D7s were produced by American Car and Foundry under license. The Navy Seabees used D7s across the Pacific Theater to build more than 400 bases, 100 airstrips, 235,000 miles of roads, 700 acres of warehouses, and housing for 1.5 million men. General Dwight D. Eisenhower himself listed the bulldozer alongside the Jeep, the 2.5-ton truck, and the C-47 airplane as the 4 most vital pieces of equipment that contributed to Allied victory in Europe. The D7 3T series, manufactured from 1944 to 1955, saw over 28,000 units produced. After the war, surplus D7 machines flooded the civilian construction market, where they worked for decades building the highways, dams, and housing developments of post-war America. But the D7's career did not end there. Modified D7E models fitted with Rome plows cleared forests during the Vietnam War. D7G and D7H variants served in the Gulf War. The U.S. Army fielded approximately 1,300 D7R machines in various armored and unarmored configurations. The D7 continued evolving through models like the D7R, the diesel-electric D7E introduced in 2009, and the current generation D7, each one carrying forward that legacy of toughness. The fact that a machine lineage born in 1938 is still being manufactured and deployed today makes the D7 one of the longest-serving dozer families in history. Number 6. The Caterpillar D8. The D8 might just be the single most important dozer Caterpillar has ever built. Introduced in 1935 as the RD8, it was an immediate hit, offering a perfect balance of size, power, and versatility. The original RD8 was powered by a 6-cylinder D13000 diesel engine producing 115 horsepower and weighed around 16.5 tons. Just under 10,000 of the 1H series were manufactured before 1941. When World War II broke out, production of the D8HR series ramped up massively for military use, with wartime production exceeding 9,900 units. After the war, the D8-2U series, produced from 1945 to 1953, became a massive commercial success with over 23,500 examples delivered. The D8 kept evolving. The D8H arrived in 1958 with 19.1 horsepower from a purpose-built D342 diesel engine. The D8K came in 1974 with 300 horsepower. In 1987, the D8N introduced differential steering, making it the first Cat Track-type tractor to feature this technology. Today's D8 runs a Cat C15 engine, delivering 363 horsepower, with an operating weight of around 87,000 pounds. But here is the thing that earns the D8 a place on this list. Many D8K units from the 1970s are still running strong today. Their mechanical simplicity, affordable rebuild costs, and bulletproof designs have made them favorites in regions where access to advanced diagnostic tools is limited. The D8K remains in high demand on the used equipment market, with fully rebuilt units commanding up to $120,000. That is extraordinary for a machine that is nearly 50 years old. Perhaps the most amazing D8 story involves the twin D8 concept created by Peterson Tractor in the late 90s. Peterson joined two D8 tractors together behind a single massive blade, producing 269 drawbar horsepower and twice the working power of a single machine. Some versions carried blades up to 21 feet wide. Though no originals survived, a recreation was built in 2013 from vintage 2U and 13A D8s and is now displayed at the Antique Caterpillar Machinery Museum in Salem, Oregon. Number 5. The Caterpillar D9. The D9 is a machine that needs almost no introduction. It is one of the most recognized pieces of heavy equipment on the planet. Caterpillar delivered the first 10 D9 pilot machines in 1954, sending them to customers across the United States for logging in California and Washington, road construction in Nevada, Ohio, and Utah, dam building in California and South Dakota, and quarry work in Michigan. The tests were so successful that one customer reportedly placed an order for 10 production units on the spot. Over the following decades, the D9 evolved through the D9G, D9H, D9L, D9N, D9R, and D9T models. The D9H, introduced in 1974 with 410 horsepower, remains the most powerful conventional track-type tractor in Caterpillar's company history. Today's D9 produces 474 gross horsepower from a Cat C18 engine and weighs in at around 49 tons. What truly earns the D9 a place on this list is its rebuildability. According to Peterson Cat, it is not unusual for a Cat D9 dozer to log more than 100,000 hours. Think about that for a moment. At 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, that is 40 years of continuous operation. These machines are designed with modular components that can be removed and reinstalled without disturbing other systems. The frame is built from high-strength steel castings and continuously rolled rails that can survive multiple rebuilds. You can rebuild a D9 several times using the same frame with only minor repairs. The D9 has also had a distinguished military career. The Israel Defense Forces have used the D9 since it was first introduced, equipping it with specialized armor that provides protection from small arms fire and explosives. Both armored and standard D9 variants remain in active military service around the world today. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, Caterpillar even introduced a side-by-side D9G, which paired two D9G tractors together, sharing one 24-foot dozer blade. Only one operator was needed to control the entire coupled machine. A more powerful SXS D9H version followed in 1974 before the concept was eventually discontinued. Number 4. The Caterpillar D10. The D10 was a revolutionary machine when Caterpillar first introduced it in 1970. It was the company's largest dozer at the time and served as the testing ground for a technology that would change the industry: the elevated drive sprocket undercarriage. Unlike traditional dozers where the drive sprocket sat at the same level as the track, the D10's elevated sprocket transferred shock loads from the blade directly to the mainframe, isolating the final drives, axles, and steering components from harsh impacts. This meant dramatically longer component life and lower maintenance costs. The concept had been in prototype development since 1971, and Caterpillar chose a highway construction project in Montana as the pilot test site. The elevated drive sprocket design proved so successful that Caterpillar eventually rolled it out across its entire dozer lineup, starting with the D6H, D7H, and D8L in the mid-90s. That one innovation from the D10 essentially redefined how all modern Cat dozers are built. The D10 itself had a relatively short production life compared to some other models on this list, as it was replaced by the D11N in 1986. But many D10 machines continued working for decades after production ended. Their frames and powertrains were built to the same over-engineered standards as all Cat dozers, and they could be rebuilt multiple times. Some D10 units accumulated staggering hour counts in mining operations before finally being retired or repowered with modern engines. Number 3. The Caterpillar D11. The biggest and most powerful dozer Caterpillar has ever built, the D11 is the king of the lineup and has been since it replaced the D10 The original D11N was powered by a 770 horsepower Cat 350-08 V8 diesel engine. It weighed over 204,000 pounds and pushed a U-blade nearly 21 feet wide with a capacity of 45 cubic yards. That is enough earth to fill a standard dump truck in a single pass. Since that first model, Caterpillar has produced over 6,000 D11 machines at their plant in East Peoria, Illinois. The D1 evolved through the D11R in 1996, which bumped horsepower to 850, and the D11T in 2008, which introduced ACERT engine technology and advanced electronic controls. A carry dozer version could move an astonishing 57.9 cubic yards of material per pass. These machines are so massive that they must be partially dismantled for transport, shipped on railroad flat cars, or broken down into multiple semi-trailer loads. What makes the D11 a machine that refuses to die is the economics of keeping it alive. A new D11T costs upwards of $2.2 million. A repower, swapping in a modern engine while keeping the original frame and driveline, costs around $350,000. Companies like Sukkot Equipment in California have made repowering older D11 machines a core part of their fleet strategy. One D11N repower replaced the original 3508 mechanical engine with a modern C27 ACERT, cutting nitrogen oxide emissions by 40%, reducing particulate matter by 40%, and likely saving 15% in fuel consumption, all while adding another 20 years of service life to a tractor that had already worked for 20 years. And now there is the D11XE, an electric drive prototype that promises 20% longer life, 25% less fuel consumption per unit of material moved, and 60% fewer moving parts in the drivetrain. The D11 family just keeps evolving, and the older models keep working. Number 2. The Caterpillar D8H. We already talked about the D8 family, but the D8H deserves its own spotlight because this specific model from 1958 might be the toughest dozer Caterpillar has ever produced. The D8H was powered by the purpose-built D342 six-cylinder diesel engine, initially producing 191 horsepower, later bumped to 225, and eventually 270 horsepower. It was the first D8 model to be manufactured outside the United States, with several versions produced at Caterpillar's UK facility. A fully equipped D8H with blade and ripper weighed around 25 tons. The D8H's reputation for durability became legendary. These machines worked in every conceivable environment: frozen Arctic tundra, in Greenland and Antarctica, scorching desert oil fields, dense tropical forests, and underwater in dam construction projects. The U.S. Army used specially modified D8 machines for the top-secret Camp Century project in Greenland, a military base built under the Arctic ice sheet, where the dozers operated in temperatures that would destroy lesser machines. Thousands of D8H machines were produced during its long run, and their survival rate is remarkable. Because the D342 engine was bulletproof, the transmission was simple, and the frame was massively overbuilt, these machines could take punishing abuse and come back for more. You can still find D8H machines working in parts of Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia, where their mechanical simplicity makes them ideal for environments where modern electronics-laden machines would be impractical. Number 1. The Caterpillar D7G. At number 1, we have the machine that might have the best argument for being the single most durable dozer ever built, the Caterpillar D7G. Introduced in 1974 with 200 horsepower, the D7G replaced the D7F and became the workhorse of construction sites, military bases, logging operations, and mining camps around the world. It was produced for over 2 decades, and during that time it earned a reputation for being virtually indestructible. The U.S. military fell in love with the D7G. After using D9 dozers in the Vietnam War, the Army switched to the smaller and more transportable D7G for its combat engineering battalions. The D7G could be moved by trailer, shipped by cargo aircraft, and maintained in field conditions with basic tools. The Army fielded hundreds of D7G machines in various configurations, including armored versions for mine clearing and fortification work. They served in every major U.S. military operation from the 1970s through the 2000s, but it is in civilian life where the D7G truly proved its immortality. Henry Shinsky, a customer profiled by Caterpillar, operated cat dozers every working day for 60 straight years. He ran his oldest machine that morning and credited the longevity of his fleet to quality design, good operating skills, and regular maintenance. People would ask him when he was going to retire, and he would tell them his doctor told him to keep doing what he was doing. Like the old cat dozers he operated, Shinsky did not seem to know the meaning of quit. That is the D7G in a nutshell. These machines simply do not quit. They work 10 hours a day in the harshest conditions on Earth. They get rebuilt when something finally wears out, and they go right back to work. Many D7G machines have logged tens of thousands of hours and have been rebuilt multiple times, each time emerging ready for another decade of hard labor. In 2009, the U.S. Marine Corps finally replaced its D7G fleet with the John Deere 850J MCT, but many civilian D7G machines continue to work to this day. The reason the D7G sits at number 1 on this list is not just its durability. It is the perfect combination of size, power, simplicity, transportability, and rebuildability that made it the go-to dozer for everyone from the U.S. Army to small-town contractors. It was big enough to handle serious earth moving, but small enough to move from site to site without major logistics. It was powerful enough for production dozing, but simple enough to maintain in a field shop. And it was built so well that 40- and 50-year-old examples are still earning their keep. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments which old cat dozer you have personally worked with or seen still running. We would love to hear your stories. Until next time, keep pushing dirt.